Welcome to the Bay Insider with Amanda and Ying, where we talk about real estate, history, and lifestyle in the San Francisco Bay Area. Welcome to the Bay Insider. We're going to talk about the market conditions that we are currently in and also look back on the last year, 2025, and kind of see what has happened over the past year. And as per usual, Ying is our numbers person. So I'm going to let her kick it off and kind of talk to us about the numbers.
Yeah, let's talk about the numbers. So as always, we separate things into single-family homes and condos, just because the two segments are very different. As far as median price, 2025 were roughly at 1.7 million. That's for single-family home. That represents almost 5% recovery from the previous year. And we are almost back to our peak of 2021. Price per square foot, also small recovery, about 2%. 13 days on market on average. Moving on to condos, our median price is rather flat at 1.1 million, and price per square foot is $994, slightly lower than 2024.
By $3.
Slightly lower. 29 days on market. And transaction volume for the year in total is just under 5,000 units. Exact numbers 4,885. And that's still below our historical average, about 5,300. So we are 6% down from our normal year.
But over the past 2 years, approximately like 10% increase per year.
Yeah,
so
year
we're
over
clawing our
year.
way back up.
Absolutely. Our bottom is 2023 at 4,000 units, and we had about 10% increase ever since. 2026, it's too early to tell. I have a feeling that we will still be below our normal average. What do you think, Amanda?
Are we talking about single families, condos, or kind
Just
of
in total. Just in total.
I don't think we will hit up to where we were, kind of pre-pandemic yet. I think we're on our way. I do think that it depends a lot on what happens with interest rates over this year, right? Because as those interest rates start to go down, then we see some of these locked in sellers, right, who have these very low interest rates start to bring their properties on the market because they can see themselves getting into a different loan on a different property. They've seen a huge increase in mortgage applications.
Or refinance
that are going on. Oh, and refinance as well. Yeah, because it's just
refinance.
kind of to that tipping point now, right, where it makes sense, because unless they drop by a certain amount, it just doesn't make sense to do the refinance. Although I imagine some of these people are in loans that have refinance without cost situations.
You're talking about like recut their monthly payment?
Yeah.
Okay, possible. But on the interest rate front, it does look better. For 30-year fix, we're right about 6%, just above 6% now. And that's a whole lot lower than the 8% we reached in 2023. If you go for 15-year fix, then that's mid-5. So that's actually not bad at all compared to the last couple of years. So we do see a whole lot more buyers out as a result. Don't you agree, Amanda? The market is hot.
I was talking about this towards the end of last year. I mean, even during the holidays, there were a lot of buyers who were active in the market. The inventory was dismal, right? So there wasn't a whole lot for them to actually find. However, they were definitely out there. Like I have a bunch of buyers that I'm working with who are just continuously looking. So I'm constantly, scanning through the things that are coming up with side, talking to Compass agents, finding out other things that are off market, going to the top agent network, like scouring every bit of area that I can for any kind of inventory.
Why do you think all of a sudden buyers were out end of last year? Because I would say for the past few years, we just like everyone was gone, right? Buyers and sellers. In
Yeah.
fact, it was good opportunity for buyers last couple of years.
Mhm.
In end of 2025, things kind of changed.
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I think one, the tech world, biotech, AI, a lot of that
AI,
kind of stuff. There have been businesses that have been buying up commercial buildings, leasing commercial buildings, moving into the area, bringing talent to the
I
city.
see.
So there's that is one. And then the other thing is that people are kind of like sheep, you know? So that's the reality, right? They
It
start to
is. It
see
totally is.
it's like a snowball going down the hill, right? They start to see other people and then they start to panic, like, oh no, I don't want to miss out on this. And oh, everybody else wants this. So I want it too. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Which makes it so hard for buyers in this market. We are, towards the end of January now, second half of January, which is typically very low inventory market.
Hmm.
That's always true. So there are always a lot more buyers and sellers on the market. But this year, it just seems like particularly bad.
Inventory is not hitting yet. I mean, I've talked to a lot of agents who have upcoming listings that they're planning on putting on in March, right? And I'm like, faster, get into market
Right.
faster. And anybody who looks at properties that are going into contract right now, unless they're really weird, right? Or they don't have parking, missing
Right.
certain important things. But as we always say, the properties that check the boxes, there's such limited inventory and such pent up demand that they're doing really well. I'm putting offers in on lots of properties. The last one I did got somewhere between 14 to 16 offers. I'm not quite sure at this point, but
60 packages out, right? No,
that
no,
one had
40. That one was
40
40
packages
packages
out. There's
out.
another property that my clients were thinking about writing on that took offers this morning that has
60.
60 packages or
Right.
80, which was a beautiful property right across from Pine Lake Park. They did updates to that, which ended up being really well done, like just perfect for what the market is looking for. And this year, even more so than past years, but I mean, as long as I've been in the industry, I've always told sellers, get your property on the market mid
Yeah,
January.
if you
Like
can. Yeah.
everybody always says wait until after Super Bowl.
I don't
No.
think that's true anymore.
And if everybody's waiting for the Super Bowl, then you be the one who gets your property on faster when everybody's looking.
I
There's
think the
less
highest premium for
competition.
sellers is really beginning of the year. But
Mhm.
the downside is, if you represent a buyer, if you are a buyer, you actually want to be careful because you got to be very motivated to be able to get a house this time of the year. Yeah, we already know what happened to 2025. Overall, a great year for San Francisco, I would think. Price gone up, transaction went up. Not back to what we're used to, but we're getting close, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think in San Francisco specifically, one interesting point you and I were talking about, right? There was an article in Yahoo News that was talking about how San Francisco didn't even make the hottest markets, but they were lumping it together with Alameda County, San
East
Mateo
Bay
County,
and the Marine,
and
right?
Marin, which are all completely different markets that are in completely different, states at this moment in
Right,
time.
right. Yeah, there's no comparison. The marine market behaves so differently from San Francisco.
So
And
different.
we know marine is buyer's market as we're speaking right now. Things are not selling as fast.
If you compare it to the city, there's just no
No
comparison.
comparison. There's no
They're
comparison.
not the same market,
Not the
especially. And
same market.
Alameda, I mean, that's a whole different. So when they lumped all those together, it's not a good representation. It doesn't, it's a muddy picture. Nobody's going to understand. So if you just pull San Francisco out of those, then it absolutely is one of the hottest markets in the country. I just think it's becoming really difficult in San Francisco because you have such a concentration of people that have so much more money than other people. The
Right.
disparity is
Right.
so huge that you get people who, just like the other day, an offer I put in on a property that was a very strong offer, got completely overshot by $1 million above where our healthy offer was.
A
then
million dollars, people.
but but the reality there is that, somebody had a lot of money and they didn't care. They wanted the property. They're not over there with their, penciling things out, making sure that the rents would cover the mortgage. So that does distort a market and make it much more difficult.
Absolutely. It's a market that's constantly changing, needs a lot of navigation. Does that mean doesn't have any good deals? Does that mean people can never get in? No, that's not true at all. It just means you need to be patient. There's a strategy and time and patience.
And
And
pay attention and have a good agent so that
have
you
a good
can,
agent matters, right? And have
yeah.
courage, which also matters. It's a big purchase. If you buy the right property, you're not going to regret it later. But back to San Francisco a little bit, I want to talk about a couple of things. One is the condo market. So we
Yes.
have been focused more on single family. We talk about single family, right? Because single family is where the shortage is, and that's where everyone go to bid on single family homes. But what happens to the condo market is a little different. It had been very sluggish for the last few years. However, it's picking up. What I saw last year, the condo market, even like South Beach, downtown, the area that was lagging for the longest time, that's going back up too.
Mhm.
There was no inventory in South Beach or downtown in those a few particular buildings I'm talking about, like Lumina or the Arden, like the highly desirable condo buildings. There's no inventory there either. Everything got snatched before end of the year.
Mhm.
There's no new ones coming. We see the inventory finally being absorbed.
Mhm.
So we definitely see the signs of recovery in the condo market, but the condo market is more challenging, not just because the high HOAs and insurance we talked in the past. We also have a lot of new condo laws that's impacting our market. One of them is SB 721. Another one is SB 326. Effectively, those two laws govern the balconies.
This kind of all started, right, because of the
Yeah,
balcony situation in Berkeley and then all kinds of different problems
yeah,
that
I
have been
guess it's
arising.
balconies, decks, and other elevated elements. But because of all those disasters, there's just a lot more regulations governing condo buildings
Right.
that make it challenging for condo owners, right? Because imagine all of a sudden you have a special assessment of $100,000 to repair the balconies or decks.
Because
It-
that can be very expensive if you have a whole complex, right? And all of
right.
their decks they find are insufficient in some way or another, and they have to do all of that work. It's huge.
It's a huge thing. That's where a lot of condos are losing value because people don't necessarily want to buy into condos when knowing that a special assessment is coming up or the value has gone down or maybe there are more regulations coming. In other words,
Right. And I think that's a big key, what you said, more regulations coming because these things do keep coming up, right?
yeah,
Now there's the sprinkler system
exactly.
thing that's, for larger buildings,
Then they have to have sprinklers in each unit. How do
which
you
is
do that?
huge. I mean, that could be
How do
like
you do
what,
that?
300,000 a unit to do
Yeah.
something like that.
So
So,
what happens to people who own these units? Right?
right. And how are they going to deal with that? Loans, are they going to, what are they going to do? But I think that's the key to one of the issues with condos and what I've heard from my clients who would have considered condos who are now really turning more towards single families because it's not so much the maybe what the current special assessment is, but it's the unknowns of what might happen in the future and not having control over those things.
And that's on top of HOA fees being going up double digit year over year. And that's what I hear all over
And
this.
condo building insurance being a big part of that.
Right. And all the other expenses. And now this is the amount we are talking about generally is not covered by your monthly HOA because most condos don't have reserves large enough to cover
Mhm.
large project as such. So it will come as a special assessment.
Yeah. So, I mean, that said, you can get into a condo much, much easier than a single family home, and
Oh,
you can get
absolutely.
better pricing. But it's really important to look at what these things are that are already in place that could be costing money or have special assessments coming up, and evaluate and think about the particular building where the condo is in and what kind of deficiencies, could cause a problem in the future. Obviously, you're never going to know everything, but best educated idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a lot of homework and research needs to be done before you make this purchase for sure. Um, and then we also read something in the news about shortage of mansions in San
Mhm.
Francisco, right? I mean,
Or the excess of people with lots of money.
yeah. Do we really have a shortage of mansions?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think there are places that are selling much faster, right? In the higher price ranges. But there was the article about District 7, which includes Pacific Heights and the Marina and all of those kinds of areas having the biggest jump in price. But I mean, the inventory in general is very, very low. So if you have a larger population of people who are very wealthy, who want to buy larger homes in Tony neighborhoods, then you're going to have what you might call a mansion shortage.
Yeah, so after I read the news, I decided to put the numbers just to validate the data. Uh,
Hmm.
just to make sure we understand it correctly. So what I saw in District 7, like Amanda said, Pack Heights, Marina, whatnot. Yes, it did have a median price per square foot jump of 11% in 2025, but that's after almost 0% the previous year. So 2 years combined, you're talking about, less than 11% after a drop in 2023. I did the same analysis for District 4, and that's like West Portal, Twin Peaks, Mira Loma, like more regular kind of neighborhood.
West Side, yeah.
Yeah, West Side. The conclusion I got is the combined percentage increase in those 2 years is about the same. This is about 10% as well for 2 years. It just timing is delayed for Pack Heights. The increase really happened in 2025. But for District 4, a large percentage increase happened in 2024, and some happened in 2025.
And I think that's what we typically see, right, on either end, right? When the market goes
Yeah.
down or when the market goes up. Those in the more affordable or lower price ranges tend to be the first to start to go up,
Right.
and with the more expensive places trailing, and those tend to be the ones that go down in price. People stop buying those very expensive houses, and that market slows down first. And I think we saw that, before, when the market was slowing down.
Absolutely. So, do we really have a mention shortage? Maybe, but probably not as bad as it sounds, or, you know.
Well, and I don't know, probably by the time we get this up on the YouTube, the 2101 Divisadero Street will not be available anymore. But I would like to say it's David Cohen. He's in the side group who's listing that property. And it is a 5,700 square foot Victorian that is at Sacramento and Divisadero. So right on the border of Pacific Heights before you get into Lower Pacific Heights. But it's a spectacular house. It was written up in the SF Gate, whatever, on the Chronicle. I've had a bunch of clients who have contacted me, family members who have, I mean, I can't tell you how many people have contacted me about this property, but I went to it on tour and it is pretty spectacular. So there's a mansion for you if you're looking.
What's the list price?
List price is 5,995,000, which
Oh, I
is
bet it's going to go a whole lot higher
it's
than.
1,051 a square foot, but I mean it's like immaculate. It's so
Oh, it's
gorgeous.
going to go way higher than that, just based on the price I'm looking at right now.
But if you want to buy it, call us up quickly unless it's already in contract, and then we'll find you a different mansion.
Yeah, absolutely. They are always mentions. Don't you
Yeah.
worry. And anything else, Amanda, that we want to address?
I mean, there's been all kinds of different changes. This year, you're going to be able to, and I guess it's for last year too, the SALT, taxes, right? The state and local taxes, that went down to you could only deduct 10,000. Now it's up to 40,000 in the more high cost areas. So talk to your tax accountant about how to handle that and what to do for bigger deductions. That's one of the things. We've got
Compass merger.
yeah,
We
the
have to talk about
Compass.
that merger.
Yeah, the Compass merger, which, I was kind of surprised, not surprised, that there was no pushback. And the thing just
Go
skated right
through.
on by.
Yeah, I mean, you would think it's monopoly, but they didn't think so. So
Yeah, so now it's what? It's Compass, Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's,
everywhere.
Century 21. They're the largest brokerage for sure. And I think that we'll see what happens. They are working towards having a lot of insular stuff. I don't know if there'll be pushback to that or if there won't be pushback to that. But I know for myself and for my business, in terms of getting access to the Compass coming soons or their, closed network, I have friends in Compass and I have ways to get access to those properties. So I'm not terribly concerned.
And also, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the stats, very, very small percentage of houses actually sell
Gets sold.
free market. It's more of
Absolutely.
a marketing thing rather than the real opportunity for buyers.
Right, right. I
It,
mean,
it right. It's a marketing tool for Compass, and that's pretty much it.
right, right. And sold to clients as a way to test the market for their sellers so they can get an idea. But that can be a tricky situation too, because testing the market in a way that's not really the market conditions
Right.
by full exposure, it's not really a true test, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And as a buyer or seller, do you really want to do a private or semi-private deal? As a seller, I will argue you actually want to be on the market to have a full exposure. As a buyer, you actually want to know you're paying the market price, not the arbitrary price, right?
Yeah, and I think it's just there are certain circumstances, I think for sure, where it does make sense, but I think those are vastly in the minority of
Small percentage.
situations.
It's very, very small percentage. Like even for us on site, we also have, we wouldn't call it private and exclusive, but we have pre-market listings.
But I do think as well, the most important thing when working with an agent is that they are active in the market and that they know people in the San Francisco market, that they have networks and connections across brokerages.
Mhm.
Because the reality is that San Francisco is a very small town.
That's right.
And the agents that do business and keep good relationships, regardless of what brokerage they're from, are the ones that you're going to want to work with because this is a people business and it's about relationships still in this day and age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
so Ing,
yeah.
what do you see happening with interest rates? We're in a weird position right now where we're gonna
Oh,
change over.
I see the interest rate trending down a little bit. It has been trending down for a while. I can
Mhm.
see it goes under 6, maybe a little bit for
Mhm.
30-year fixed, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's not like significant difference to the
Mhm.
point is going to make people buy or not buy.
Right.
It's going to help you cash flow a little bit, yes. So I would say the price adjusts based on the interest as well.
Mhm.
So if you're in the market, you're looking to buy, I wouldn't let the interest rate deter you. In 2023, when the interest rate went up to 8%, right? All the way from, I don't know, 4 or 5 to 8%. I think that's a jump we were looking at. The
Mhm.
price dropped 15%. Just remember, we are not married to the interest rate. You can always refinance.
Date the rate, as they say.
Exactly. So that's what I would say. Make the decision based on your life situation and don't worry too much about interest rate.
Yeah, as long as you can afford the payment and you don't have to sell immediately,
Five
you'll be
years.
fine. You'll be
I would
fine.
say 5 years. I always say look at 5 years. If you
Mhm.
think you're okay for 5 years, by all means, just buy the house.
Just go for it. Market is strong. You got to have a strong offer right now in San Francisco. That's where things are at.
And things will change soon enough, as we know. It will still be a hot market, but there will be a whole lot more properties on the market. So if you're being sitting on the sidelines, maybe it's time to dip your toes in,
Yeah, there'll be more selection. Still competition, but there'll be more selection.
And the price will be a little bit more reasonable, I think.
So we'll circle back with everybody in a few months and kind of recap on Q1 and how things ended up.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next quarter.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.